The Earth in which the film is set sees all continents covered in water as a result of polar ice melting, forcing mankind to adjust to their new surroundings. They now resided in untamed, floating settlements known as atolls where they subsisted on seafood and traded goods. Due to a dearth of fresh water, individuals use their urine for cultivation because plants, dirt, and soil are more expensive than gold. Many people think that dry ground remains somewhere, even though the Earth has transformed into an endless, enormous ocean. To live better lives, many groups of people are searching for the aforementioned mystical location, but nobody has yet found it. Our first encounter is with Mariner, a man who resides aboard a rickety boat that appears to be made of scrap. He's seen urinating into a little container, then putting the urine into a device that turns it into water that can be consumed. He has a lime tree, which is uncommon in a world without land, planted inside the boat. For survival, the mariner goes fishing and gathers recyclable debris from the sea. One afternoon, following a dive, he sees another boat coming toward him. Mariner learns of an atoll from the man in the other boat, where he obtained numerous goods. When Mariner finds that the man is only interested in trading them, he starts to question him. He soon discovers that the stranger has taken every lime from him. A gang of smokers arrive in their jet skis at the same time and start attacking them. Despite being made of scrap, Mariner's boat is quick, allowing him to flee while the other man is captured by the smoking. Mariner then makes it to the atoll, a floating city protected by tall metal walls. He claims to be there to trade his possessions at the gate. He enters and declares that he has some genuine dirt to trade, which is very uncommon. Atoll residents notice this and offer him 124 chits in return for a container of dirt. Then he buys a tomato plant and some other scraps from Helen using the same chits. After the exchange, as he is making his way back to his boat, a family asks him to get their daughter pregnant, but he declines. They become suspicious of his motives as a result and tell the people to stop him. When Mariner is captured, the villagers find out he is a mutant with webbed feet and gills behind his ears. The mariner makes an effort to fight back but is submerged in a fishing net. Helen meets with an elderly guy named Gregor later that evening and asks when they might leave that dry land. Gregor claims that a young girl named Enola has the direction of the dry island tattooed on her back, but he is unable to make sense of it. Gregor then mulls over approaching Mariner, who is confined within a cage, to inquire about it. After that, he goes up to Mariner and asks about mutation, but Mariner seems to ignore him. Only after Gregor displays the tattoo's image does Mariner appear intrigued. Gregor is not permitted to unlock the cage, which Mariner demands in exchange for the information. The following day, the locals decide to lower the cage and drown Mariner in the pit of the marsh. At the same time, an army of smokers under the command of Deacon arrives to attack Atoll. Additionally, they are searching for the fabled dry land and hoping to locate the young girl who knows the way there. A short while later, the smokers surround Atoll and start firing with powerful machine guns, killing several Atoll citizens. The smokers with the jet skis eventually use self-made ramps to access the structure. Gregor goes inside, fills a balloon, and unintentionally takes off, leaving Helen and Enola behind. Mariner tries to escape in the meantime, but his cage breaks, and it starts to sink. Helen sees this and comes to his rescue right away. She agrees to help him, but only if he waits to launch his boat before taking her and Enola to open the gate. Mariner uses the ship's rigging to fly up, open the gate, and then leap back to the boat after the gate becomes stuck. Along with Helen, Enola boards the boat to leave Atoll. In contrast, the machine gun-wielding smokers keep firing in an arbitrary direction, blowing their leader Deacon's boat up in the process. But just then, Deacon jumps into the water and saves his life. Following the struggle, the smokers keep searching for Enola after discovering that she has a tattoo showing the path to dry ground. Inquiring about Enola, the smokers bind a local. The man divulges all of his knowledge out of fear of death, but he is nonetheless killed. Helen asks Mariner if he knows how to go to dry land as they set sail, and he answers in the affirmative. He cautions her, nevertheless, to discard Enola before coming there because they won't have much food or water. Helen attempts to talk him out of it. Even if she makes a counteroffer to save the young girl's life, Mariner rejects it. Enola begins to draw on Mariner's boat after a while, which enrages him, and he throws her into the water. Knowing that Enola can't swim, Helen becomes anxious and jumps in to save her. Mariner appears to leave the two in the sea, but he later makes a second attempt to save them. The smokers arrive on the plane as soon as they board the boat and start firing at them. Helen rushes for the enormous spear gun and shoots it without Mariner's permission while Mariner kneels to recover his weapon. The plane is now attached to the boat by the metal rope and starts to circle it, tying it up in a web. When Mariner notices this, the smokers and he hurries over to cut the rope and disentangle the boat. The smokers can shoot the rope and take off after a short while, but the Mariner swings off and lands on the water. He punishes Helen and Enola by cutting their hair since he is upset with them for damaging the boat. Deacon, on the other hand, guesses where they are and sends his men to find Enola. While sailing, they stumble across a drifter who acknowledges possessing certain crucial documents and offers to exchange Helen for them. Mariner agrees despite Helen's refusal. While Mariner rapidly scans the document and determines that it is useless, the drifter takes Helen to his boat. He instantly jumps into the boats of the drifters and calls off the transaction. The drifter is upset by this and decides to stab the Mariner. Mariner murders the wanderer during a brawl that breaks out. The next clip shows Mariner demonstrating his fishing technique. As bait, he jumps into the water, and a huge mutant fish quickly materializes. He then kills the fish with his sword and makes dinner for everyone. Mariner was initially impolite to them, but when he begins conversing with Enola, he suddenly seems to be cordial. He instructs Enola in swimming while simultaneously allowing her to doodle with colored pencils. Helen watches their friendship deepen and she seems worried. They eventually encounter the barter outpost and observe some folks waving toward them. Being suspicious, Mariner searches underwater and finds the smokers waiting for them. The smokers instantly turn the boat around to flee, but he does so while under pursuit. They manage to evade smokers' attacks in some way. The extra sails are then used by Mariner as parachutes, enabling them to escape more quickly. After they have reached safety, Mariner coerces Helen into telling the truth about Enola's tattoo, leading her to say that it indicates a route to dry land. She doesn't trust the Mariner when he says that dry ground is a myth after hearing this. He decides to show her as a result. He submerges Helen and places her inside a large bubble. She is shocked as he takes her deep into the ocean and shows her the past world, which is entirely submerged in water because of his ability to breathe through his gills. Enola sees something in the water as she waits for them in the boat and hurriedly hides. The Mariner and Helen find out they have been captured by the smokers when they swim to the surface. They refuse to talk until Deacon forces them to tell him about Enola. Deacon then pretends to kill them by shooting in the air. Enola emerges worried as a result, but the smokers seize her without delay. Mariner and Helen attempt to escape by diving into the water when Deacon orders his soldiers to kill them. Mariner uses his gills to assist Helen in breathing underwater until the smokers leave. They eventually make it back to the surface, where they find that their boat has been smashed. Deacon, on the other hand, acts friendly toward Enola and asks about the tattoo behind her back, but she doesn't respond. He then makes her an offer of some colored pencils and asks her once more, but she remains silent. Mariner and Helen are stuck on the wrecked boat. Helen asks why he rejected her when she offered herself, and he replies that it was because she didn't like him at the time. Before they make love on the boat, she kisses him after being moved by his response. Mariner tries to fix the boat the next day, but they find Gregor in his hot air balloon. The survivors of Atoll are staying on a boat, which Gregor then transports the group to. The people discuss looking for dry ground at night, but they aren't prepared to do so because it is risky to approach smoking. Mariner then decides to set out on his own in pursuit of the young child. He eventually finds the smokers' spacecraft and enters it, killing them all one by one. Deacon assembles the smokers and tells them a lie, saying he has found the path to dry ground. He gives the command for everyone to start rowing, which moves the ship forward as the men start to row. Mariner urges Deacon to release Enola on his own and approaches him. When Deacon declines, Mariner threatens to drop the flame into the oil reserve, which would set off an explosion that would destroy the entire ship. Although Deacon doesn't think he'll behave unreasonably, Mariner accidentally drops the flame, which results in a huge explosion. After that, Deacon takes off with the young girl before Mariner reaches the podium and sees him on the aircraft. He ziplines down and fires a spear rifle at the ship's fence right away. Then, before the plane can take off, he creates a barrier with the metal rope, crashing it. Enola, who fortunately is uninjured, joins them in an embrace. But as the ship starts to malfunction, they are unable to flee. On the hot air balloon, Fortune, Helen, Gregor, and a local of the atoll all arrive simultaneously. They let go of the rope and raise the Mariner and Enola before the ship breaks down. Deacon, though, seizes the rope and follows suit, ascending. Enola kicks him, sending him into the water, as Helen witnesses this and throws a heavy object at him. Mariner and Helen finally reach the hot air balloon, but Deacon persists in getting on a jet ski and firing at it, which results in Enola falling into the lake. Deacon commands his troops to seize Enola, but Mariner strikes back right away. Before jumping from the hot air balloon, he takes hold of the rope and ties it around his leg. Enola is successfully grabbed, and he recovers just in time to cause the jet skis to crash and explode. They safely arrive at the hot air balloon at the end. This time, Gregor is able to comprehend Enola's tattoo and moves to the dry ground. They see a bird on their hot air balloon after several days in the air. They are shocked to see land for the first time in their life when they turn their heads further. They are ecstatic to arrive and start exploring the region. A short while later, they come across a small cottage and enter it, where they discover a couple's bones laying side by side. Additionally, they find the map drawing, which resembles the ones on Enola's back. It is revealed that Enola's family is the owners of that cottage. It seems that her family sent her out in the anticipation that she would lead more people to the dry land. Mariner, meanwhile, feels out of place on land and as if he belongs in the water. Enola is then approached and told that he is leaving, which makes her upset. She tries to reassure him that he would adjust when he claims he wasn't born for dry land. He doesn't, though, and before leaving, he says his last goodbyes to Enola and Helen. Helen and Enola watch him sail away from a precipice in the last scene.